Good morning, good evening. Oh my god. Un momento, Bobby, un momento. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another CranKy Ducklings broadcast, another week of the HomeStory Cup 23 Group B. Welcome, everyone. Of course, we were live yesterday with the first half of the group, and we are here to conclude said group as well. Sorry, just fixing up the cameras, making sure everything was looking okay, was looking good. And yesterday was pretty intense. We had lots of casting to do yesterday. It was HomeStory Cup straight into OSC King of the Hill as well. So back to back non-stop StarCraft yesterday. Here, it's going to be a little bit lighter on the StarCraft. We have, of course, our HomeStory Cup broadcast, but that is it for the day. We're just going to be resting up here, especially with the week of Masters Coliseum on the horizon. I believe the groups themselves of Masters Coliseum were revealed yesterday, maybe less than 24 hours ago, and the groups are pretty intense. The groups are, yeah, definitely something to behold. So we are going to be covering that next week. For the next 2 weeks, I believe, almost every day, if I'm not mistaken. Just going to have to get clarification on that. But yeah, there's a lot of StarCraft. A lot of StarCraft on the horizon. A lot of StarCraft. And we're going to be enjoying ourselves here with some HomeStory Cup. Yesterday, we were able to bear witness to some Fiant action. We casted Fiant versus quite a lot of players like Skillus and HeRoMaRinE and Solar as well. And yeah, Fiant, he didn't look too bad. We don't get to cast enough of him, unfortunately. We don't get to cast enough of Fiant, so I was very happy to cast some of him yesterday. And yeah, it was really cool to see him actually make Proxy Hatch work against Skillus. That was one of the highlights of the night, of course, and we had some really intense back and forth. Skillus versus HeRoMaRinE was really impressive as well. Skillus did 2-0 HeRoMaRinE last night, and yeah, I recommend it. I recommend checking out those VODs. Here tonight, though, we have the conclusion of said group. Again, we're featuring players like HeRoMaRinE, Solar, Fiant, Trigger, and Skillus alongside Geralt as well, and we're going to be kicking things off with a ZvT. We're going to be kicking things off with already a pretty high-profile matchup. Solar versus HeRoMaRinE. It's crazy, Bob. It's crazy. It's a round-robin group stage, so everyone plays everyone. HeRoMaRinE, he already tried his luck against Skillus. Skillus, again, was able to overpower him in the end. A very impressive PvT. And these next matches, they are that much more important here as well. HeRoMaRinE still has to face off against Solar, still has to face off against Trigger as well. We are going to be covering those series here tonight. Oh boy, so best of luck to him, best of luck. I'm hoping for some good matches, for some good series, as we're going to start things off with Solar versus HeRoMaRinE in a ZvT. The best way to start, Poppy, the best way to start. Oh, but I'm concerned. I'm a little bit concerned because map 1 is on Gresvan. And you know what that means. Oh. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the German Terran player representing Team Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. So welcome everyone in the chat. Welcome everyone. I saw Sando in the chat. Atapia, Aistan, Kuro, Werehug, Quack, Papi, Quack. Oh, welcome. Good to see everyone. Good to see everyone as we are diving into this ZvT. And the reason why I was a little bit concerned about this game, about this map, is, as you can imagine, Gresvan is a very macro-oriented map. There are a lot of defensive features. We got points of elevation. We got ramps coming up in towards that third base. We have a lot of choke points to take advantage of as well. Once you take the center base, you can expand it behind it and on top of it as well. And we have seen a lot of split map scenarios here in TVZ. Now, is that what HeRoMaRinE is going to play? That's a good question. Again, I'm not too familiar with HeRoMaRinE. I don't get to cast him too often. I only get to cast him during HomeStory Cups, or, you know, things like ESL Masters Summer, IM Katowice, the big major events. HeRoMaRinE, he's a very active player, to be fair. It's just I don't get to cast ESL Open Cup Europe. I don't get to cast the European Cups. So because of that, yeah, I'm not too familiar with his tendencies, with his versatility. I have seen him go for the 2-racks. I've seen him go for the Beyond Opener, definitely. We saw him mech yesterday as well. Unfortunately, we saw him mech. So, yeah, he definitely has a lot up his sleeve here, and he's going to have to whip it all out if he wants to bring down a player of the caliber of Solar. Oh, boy. Let's go, let's go. Catching up. I'm here too. I've been here before Werehog was born. We were all here before Werehog was born, okay? It's still not born. Aye. But welcome to the chat. Baby. As for now, we're getting into this so far. Standard opener here. We have our factory after that. Racks, no 2-1-1 shenanigans. Now this time, first Reaper is getting across the map, and Solar is looking to dance with said Reaper, minimize his losses, just buy time for his queen to pop out. So far, we got some damage on some of these things, but again, nice control here at Solar. So he almost does lose a Ling, but the queen has arrived, and we do swat that away. Really, my eyes are on HeRoMaRiNE's follow-up here, and it is going to be a 3cc opener. Only one gas was taken in the main base, so very economic opener here out of HeRoMaRiNE. Very macro-oriented. Do love to see it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. He's still just continuing to scout, which again, I do quite understand here. Solar, he's not like Ragnarok or Dark. He's not the most aggressive. He's not the cheesiest of players, but HeRoMaRiNE, he's just making sure that everything is on the up and up, making sure that no additional gases were taken, there's no fast Roach Warren, there's no fast Lair, nothing crazy like that. Just keeping Solar on notice. Up. As HeRoMaRiNE, he does want that tumor, but alas, he will not get it. Good movement here by Solar, keeping that tumor alive, swatting away that Reaper. And back at her, we do have that Starport follow-up. So it's not going to be a 3cc into a 2-1-1. It's going to be a 3cc into what looks to be a Banshee here, as we have a Tech Lab about to finish up. And this is pretty well lined up here for an add-on swap, and the add-on swap is upon us. Back at home, Hellions are hitting the field again. The goal here for HeRoMaRiNE is just to scout, make sure that the third base is to be saturated, and to keep an eye here, or to keep a close eye on the creep, make sure it doesn't get too out of control. Banshees are on the way. Again, this is a very stock standard build here from HeRoMaRiNE, very standard, very safe, very macro oriented with these Banshees. It doesn't just allow you to get economic damage done, but it also does help you and assist you in case Solar did go for a Roach Warren, in case he was working towards a faster Roach push. Then Banshees do a great job at just shutting that down and also counter-attacking right afterwards as well. So everything is as to be expected. Kind of waiting for the initial points of deviation here for HeRoMaRiNE. Before that happens, the Hellions, they do dive into the natural base. Quick Evo Chamber. Oh god! Evo Chamber was starting up. The drones are lining up as well. 3 of them already going to be going down. The Hellions, they do find a way in. 7 go down in total, but the Hellions pay their price, pay for it with their lives, as they all do go down. That was 4 Hellions and 1 Reaper for 7 drones. Not too bad. A lot of damage was done. Solar, of course, he did skip out on some Lings. He was trying to cut corners. He was trying to be greedy, and he almost got away with it. Was punished in the end, and we still have more Hellions on the field. That's why I would say that this is still worth it here for HeRoMaRiNE. Even though sure he lost some Hellions, he still has more behind this to make sure he's able to keep the creep at bay, make sure he has a presence on the map. Not as much of a presence as he otherwise would have had, but a presence nonetheless. Solar's got some catching up to do. We have the Banshee dipping into the main base. Oh no! The Spore is cancelled, but we don't have Cloak. Thankfully, the Spore is cancelled. We have a little bit less DPS to work with. Drones are going down, 3 workers in total. But again, thankfully, there is no Cloak. Otherwise, Solar would be in quite a bit of trouble. Oh, God. This Banshee does manage to escape. And interesting, so typically you would make 2 Banshees. Again, 2 Banshees, they one-shot workers. You can, again, bully some Queens as well. But no, HeRoMaRiNE, he went Banshee into a Raven instead. This also adds to the fact that thankfully he still kept some Hellions alive, so he can be active on the map and clear up these creep tumors. But because he only has 4 Hellions, he has to respect the Queens, he has to respect the army here of Solar. He is being forced back. As he just rotates around, he's looking for more tumors. He will find some. Does manage to get a couple of tumors here, but Lings have hit the field, and HeRoMaRinE has to respect that. Solar immediately respraying that. Behind this, we do have 1-1 on the way. Additional Raxes, it is going to be bio play from HeRoMaRinE, which is important to point out. We have seen him flaunt mech even yesterday, so happy to see that that is not the case here. I say mech. HeRoMaRinE, he went BC, he went battle cruisers yesterday, which was something to behold. He is going to be moving out again. The upgrades are still a ways off, but he's again looking to just try to keep Solar on the back foot. We have a Hydrogen behind this. Solar droning up to 76 without too much issue. His economy outside of the Hellion Dive, of course, has been left untouched, and Solar has been able to re-drone quite effectively. The Banelings have hit the field just in time for the army. And at every turn, whenever he cleans up some of these tumors, Solar is here to respread. Now what's important is that Solar has been gaining ground here towards the north, but he hasn't here in the center of the map. He hasn't been able to spread creep at all. Every time he's there to throw down some tumors, we do have HeRoMaRinE there to just deny it. And this is going to work towards that one big push with these tanks, with this army. Before that happens, we do see a drop here towards the north. Just going to be applying some pressure. The Raven is taking a couple of hits, but HeRoMaRinE, he shouldn't lose anything. He's going to be able to back up. And here we go. That push is now upon us. We've got options. We could try to punish this northern base, and again, this cliff face is designed for that. The creep not quite covering that area. Solar also not quite in position, anticipating an attack here through the center of the map. Has to rotate over. 1-1 is now kicking in for the Zerg as well. Yeah, and this hatchery is going to go down. Oh, Solar actually diving on top of the Marine, so he's going to lose a couple of those Lings. But he has to respect this tank position. He has to back off at the same time as setting up for a massive counterattack instead. I appreciate that he's checking with the Ling first. He does confirm that there are plenty of reinforcements back at home, and Solar, he's going to... Oh, actually... he's looking to commit. He's waiting for the Marine. Waiting for the army to move out. But HeRoMaRinE, he is in position. Across the map, he rotates over towards the center. He's going to lose a bunch of Marines. A good catch here from Solar. He collapses onto the tanks. He doesn't overextend. He takes down 3 of those tanks and does back off. We still have a couple more in the back line that are reinforcing. Speaking of reinforcing, Solar does come back with the rest of his army. Marines pushing up this ramp as well. There is only 1 tank behind this. We have plenty of Banelings on the way. 14 Banelings in production. And Solar's looking to go for a surround. He has Lingbane. Actually, maybe for a counterattack instead. Has Lingbane moving in towards the north. Is trying to buy his time. Hatchery's taking a lot of hits. Drones are going down. And here we go. Solar is looking to collapse on this. Again, with only 1 tank, this isn't the strongest position for the Terran. With the Queens, the Hydras, and the army coming in from behind us. Solar cleans this up. Doesn't just clean up the ground army, even takes down the Liberator, takes down some of the Medivacs as well. And HeRoMaRinE, he's pretty committed to this. He is 8-raxing, by the way. He does not have another gas geyser here at his 4th. He doesn't have a 4th CC. He's very committed to this push. 2-2 is finishing up after the fight concluded. So unfortunately, a bit of an anti-timing there for HeRoMaRinE. I mean, he had to really solidify himself. He had to try to break the base then and there. Just a shame that the upgrades finished after the fight. As HeRoMaRinE is pretty all in with this. Queens, they focus down the Liberator. There's just not enough bio on the ground. Tank is going to fall. And now HeRoMaRinE has to rely on drop play instead. He does have quite a lot of Medivacs active on the map. He's got 2 here going into the main. He's got another heading towards the 4th base as well. But Solar is able to split up his army. He is keeping up with this. And across the map, HeRoMaRinE, does he throw down a 4th? The answer is no. It's a little bit too late for that. At this point, you know, we have to commit. We can't try to change gears. We're going for wave number 3. And to be fair, there still isn't a lot of creep here in the center. Speaking of that, center base is under threat as well. Drones, they cannot mine. The northern drop is denying any kind of other hatchery from being taken. As Solar is contained here to 4 bases. Now, throughout all of this, he has been able to take up into Hive. The Hive is done. We have Vipers on the way, Lunker Den as well. Like, Solar's looking pretty comfortable here. Like, sure, both armies are maxed. Like, HeRoMaRinE is maxed out as well, but Solar's army is becoming a little bit more refined, especially with the addition of those lurkers. Now, they haven't hit the field yet, to be fair. And this is still a scary moment. Solar, he still cannot expand, still cannot get another base up and running. Additional tanks have arrived. How many Vipers do we have? We have 2 Vipers, slowly gathering energy in the main. Once again, Solar getting ready for a surround or just a counterattack, but there are plenty of reinforcements back at home. As that hatchery is in a lot of danger. Yeah, the surround is upon us. With these Vipers, with Blinding Clouds, we should be able to deal with this army. And here we go, we're collapsing once again. Only 2 tanks, they get Blinding Clouded. And the Ling Bane collapses on everything else on those Marines. The spread is good, but there's just too much Zerg on the ground. Too much Zerg on the dance floor. The base goes down. HeRoMaRinE at least gets that. And he does have another drop here towards the north. He is hurting the economy here of Solar. But he needs more than this. Especially considering that the Viper survived. The Hydras as well. Adrenal glands just kicked in. The drop play still being very active here in the face of Solar, but alas, HeRoMaRinE. I was about to say that the only thing he can do is just lift up his main, and there we go. He is lifting his main, heading towards that 4th base location. He needs to keep this going. But once again, another surround, another Blinding Cloud as well on 2 tanks this time. And Solar collapses, cleans up the army once again for the 4th time, I want to say. And now it looks like this time Solar has enough momentum to chase the reinforcements. He's catching another tank. A Liberator is being a nuisance here in the back line. And Solar doesn't want to overextend. This is still quite close, to be honest. The reason why this is so close is because of the bases. Solar has been stuck on 4 bases the entire time. And I say that he's actually on 3 bases right now. He's triple expanding as we speak. He desperately needs larva to spend his money. He needs to actually make use of his drones and mine from these hatcheries. Oh. As HeRoMaRinE is forced back. 4th base has now been scouted here by Solar. HeRoMaRinE now taking a supply lead. And a big reason for that, Solar, he just can't mine. Finally resuming mining here at that northern base. The center base, forget about it. The tanks are within range. The lurkers! Oh my god! The lurkers are... wait. They're popping up. They take down almost every single Marine here. 3 of them do survive. Reinforcements come in. We finished up the lurker den a while ago, but finally they have hit the field. And Solar is able to... can he barely hold on? He loses 2 more lurkers. It's down to 1. The drop coming back in, denying more mining time. At the same time, we have a Ling run by, and HeRoMaRinE, he cannot afford to lose workers. He's losing so many SCVs across the map. But he doesn't care. He's pushing on forward. We even have a couple of Blinding Clouds on the Marines as well, just to try to help out. That one lurker holding on is going to be focused down. But the Marines have fallen. The tanks are being broken. Oof. Still a couple more left. 29 SCVs just went down across the map. HeRoMaRinE is down to 33 workers. And Solar, with these reinforcements, with the Queens coming in as well. Now finally mining off of these bases and actually having some larva to work with. He holds on. GG gets called, and Solar takes game number 1. GG. Oh my god. That was pretty intense. That was a very long 3-base all-in out of HeRoMaRinE. I think something that was really interesting, there was a lot of back and forth, not just when it comes to the attacks themselves and the engagements themselves, but HeRoMaRinE, it was really cool to see how, I'm not too sure on the verbiage of it, but he was keeping, he just was never too antsy. Like, he never quite overextended. What I mean by that is that he was always leaving reinforcements back at home. A couple of times, especially early on, Solar, he was trying to go for run bites. He was trying to go for counterattacks. He was attempting to stop the economy of HeRoMaRinE. But HeRoMaRinE, he was respecting Solar quite a lot, and he just kept Marines, kept tanks back at home constantly. At a certain point, Solar gave up on that. At a certain point, he was like, clearly, like, I'm just wasting time trying to go for these counterattacks. It's not working. I'm going to focus on these engagements instead. So it was cool to see that kind of dynamic come to fruition. Of course, eventually, especially when the 4th base was being taken, then Solar could punish the economy. But up until that point, HeRoMaRinE, he was very, he was very meticulous with his army movements. He was very meticulous with how he was maneuvering his forces and making sure he was always keeping something back at home. On top of that, the drop play was pulling Solar apart. We saw a lot of hatcheries go down. Solar was struggling to actually maintain his economy and maintain his production. So that was pretty close. Pretty close, to be fair, but GG, well played. Solar will take game number 1. Oof. Again, impressive how long HeRoMaRinE was able to keep that up for as well. How long he was able to keep that going. But alas, Solar does take the first game, and now we're diving into game number 2. Here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Solar. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the German Terran player representing Team Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. The other thing, of course, Solar, it was very important for him to have the wherewithal to tech up into Hive, into Vipers, into eventually Lurkers. It all did come into play in that defense in the end. It was quite close. Very close. Went down to the wire. The final Lurker went down. The final Blinding Cloud was thrown down as well on Marines, of all things. But here we are in our second game, and again, even though Solar may be leading the series 1-0, HeRoMaRinE, he put up a really good fight and made Solar work for it. Now, what does he have in store for us on Royal Blood? Royal Blood, I feel like this is the map known for 8-raxing. We do see it quite often on this map, just because of the base layout, because of some of the choke points, some of these angles of attack as well. They can be very difficult to deal with. But I don't expect HeRoMaRinE to do the same kind of build 2 games in a row. I don't expect to see another 8-rax out of him against Solar. I don't think that would be the wisest of choices. Again, when it comes to a series, when it comes to formulating a game plan for a series, you do want to vary things up. You want to keep your opponent guessing. And HeRoMaRinE is one that has so many more builds up his sleeve, so many more play styles available to him as well. As for the time being, Overlord is going to be scouting the low ground, just getting an eye on the CC. Of course, confirming that we have a standard opener out of HeRoMaRinE. And back at home, Solar went for a hatch gas pull into his 3rd base, so nothing too crazy. Interesting that, again, we haven't seen the 2-racks yet this series out of HeRoMaRinE. He has been doing it recently, but I should emphasize that this is a replay cast. This did occur over a month ago, just over a month ago, so it's possible that HeRoMaRinE has just recently been dipping his toes into the 2-racks, and at the time of HomeStory Cup, not so much. Oh god. I was talking about mech earlier and how HeRoMaRinE, he did flaunt that yesterday. Speaking of, we do have a second factory in production here from Big Gabe. Oh boy. Now this doesn't have to be mech. This could just be a 2-factory blue flame timing and then transition into bio. And it is something that we could see, but I'm not holding my breath. There we go. As we have a 3rd factory thrown down. It is, of course, going to be mech. We're going to see an add-on swap, but there's looking to be battle mech here with a tech lab on that factory. We should be getting into mag field accelerators. Oh boy. Fun fact, this is something that, as Solar does dip in, he does confirm the factory's on the way. Solar does see everything. Immediately, he throws down a Roach Warren. Okay, well, we're good. I was like, are we going to see some crazy add-ons up? Because I did see him cancel Macfield, but does restart it. Solar is preparing himself. Now, something that's interesting is that this was around the same time as the GSL groups. Actually, this was after, I believe, the GSL groups. But Solar did face off against Cure on this very map. We were able to cast Solar versus Cure a couple of days ago, actually. And Cure was able to just bully Solar with a very strong Hellion Cyclone timing. It was a little bit heartbreaking to see. But also very vindicating as well. So I am a little bit concerned here for Solar. We'll see how he's able to prepare for this. Again, the difference, I guess I should say, the biggest difference here is that Solar, he sees this ahead of time. He sees this well ahead of time and is preparing for it back at home. Roaches, Lings on the way. Everything is coming out. And that's a lot of Lings. Solar is going to be cutting workers here at 13.9. Again, the Roaches are the backbone of his army, but the Lings are looking for the surround. They're looking to collapse on those on those Cyclones if possible. As Solar is working on his own push, the Roaches are going to be pushing this army back. They do get some lock-ons though. A couple of Roaches will get picked off. At the same time, Lings, they do slip into the natural base. SCVs are going down. Interestingly enough, this is a hashtag move out. The Hellions, they do expose the Cyclones. Well, the Cyclones will fall, but it does feel like, yeah, Solar, he's bleeding out too much. So many Roaches went down to these Cyclones. It's very possible that he wasn't expecting Macfield accelerators, but oof, that was 9 Roaches going down almost for free. They get 1 Cyclone. The Ling run by was nice, and we have another one being set up, but a much more efficient trade here for our Terran. As the Lings try to dip in, this time HeRoMaRinE, he is ready for it. Ooh, we have more lock-ons on the Queens. 2, 3 Queens go down. Solar is hurting, but he's coming in for the surround. The Lings coming from behind, and the surround will be good enough. The Hellions get caught, the Cyclones also get caught. And even though Solar had a really rough trade initially, he makes up for it. Makes up for it beautifully. Actually, he didn't lose any additional Roaches. Did lose a couple of Queens, but he kills 4 Cyclones in every one of those Hellions. And now Solar has a little bit more breathing room. He can saturate this 3rd base. He can look to take a 4th. Lair has kicked in, and Roach speed is on the way. So yeah, it was a rocky start for Solar, but again, he was able to recover quite nicely. HeRoMaRinE, after losing his army, is going to be sticking back at home here for a little bit longer, just making sure he gets his own 3rd base up and running. And speaking of run-bys, we do have some Lings and Roaches here ready for a counterattack at a moment's notice. HeRoMaRinE does have to be careful as he throws down 2 more factories. Oh boy. Let's go. He's going to be doubling down on the factory production. And likewise, back at home, Solar, he's just working on 3-base saturation. He's working on his 4th. His 4th was delayed, bear that in mind. And to be fair, when you're going for a more Roach-heavy composition, Lava isn't as important. So to delay that 4th, is on these 5 gases, and now just working on a big push here. A lot of Roaches are on the way. Solar, he's not making any more workers. Bear that in mind. No more drones are in production. HeRoMaRinE is going to be able to find a lot of these Overlords. Oh, they're barely going to be saved. At the same time, Solar, he goes for his counterattack. The Lings are being cleaned up, but the Roaches, they're getting some value here, taking down a lot of these Hellions. And Solar's collapsing on these Cyclones. Another 2-3 Cyclones go down. Once again, Solar just cutting off his opponents. Again, great movement here. 3 more. Every single Cyclone went down. Without Cyclones, how do we stop the Roach Ravager? The boys have to be pulled. The third base is going to be forfeit. Ugh. And HeRoMaRinE is being broken. GG gets called. Solar has too much, and Solar takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. HeRoMaRinE, again, just flaunting his skill there by going for mega ball things after going for a very like aggressive bio style in game 1. But I would say that the positional play of Solar was just superior in a little. I say superior. It was just very well formulated, very well calculated. He was able to catch HeRoMaRinE out multiple times, whether it's surrounds with the Lings or even just flanking the army with those Roaches and Ravagers. Really good movement out of Solar, and yeah, HeRoMaRinE, he gets called out. GG gets called, and yeah, Solar, he takes the series 2-0.